Hello, and welcome to this basic tutorial on locating Missouri death certificates online, 1910 to 1967. My name is Catherine Lucy, and I am currently a graduate student at San Jose State University. There are two basic objectives for this tutorial. First, to learn just a little bit about Missouri vital records, and second, to search and locate images of actual death certificates issued from 1910 to 1967 in their database. If you can find the death certificate you need on their website, then you will not have to request it via mail or pay for a copy. This is a great free resource for genealogists with Missouri ancestors. The Missouri State Archives separates their vital records into these three categories. They have only digitized death certificates dating from 1910 on, the year that legislation went into effect requiring statewide mandatory reporting. For this reason, this presentation only focuses on these records from 1910 to 1967. The State Archives has not yet digitized and made available death certificates less than 50 years old due to privacy reasons, but every calendar year you can expect them to add another year's worth of certificates to their database. If you need copies of birth records, pre-1910 death records, which may exist depending on the county, or death certificates less than 50 years old, you must contact the Missouri Bureau of Vital Records directly. So how do we locate and search for Missouri death certificates issued between 1910 and 1967? First, you will need to go to the Missouri Digital Heritage website. I will provide the link at the end of this presentation. Missouri Digital Heritage is a collaborative effort between the Missouri State Archives and the Missouri State Library to digitize state institutional records and make them available online for easy access. Anyone can search this database. It's a free site to use, and you are not required to set up an account. Let's do a search for my great-grandfather George Tecu. I type Tecu into the last name search box and George into the first name search box. I will leave the other fields blank, as I believe his name is unique enough that I won't get too many results. Sometimes if you make your search too specific, you might actually miss the person you're looking for. So, when we click on this orange search button here at the bottom, we get the following results. We see a George Tecu, who died on December 31st, 1933, in the city of St. Louis. On the far right, there is an orange button we can click on to view the digitized image of his death certificate. This is the image that appears when I click on the link. Please note this image is a PDF file, which you can print or download and save to your computer. The death certificate provides rich information about George and his family, such as his wife's name, his birth date, his profession, and his birthplace, which in this case is the country of Romania. This information will be of interest to genealogists, and while not always accurate depending on who the informant was on the death certificate, the information can provide great clues and suggestions on what type of records to search next. If I wanted to search for other possible relatives of George Tecu, I can search the last name of Tecu, but leave the first and middle names blank for the maximum number of results. Now we get 3 hits on the name Tecu. We have George's daughter Anna, George himself, and his wife Nellie. I already know from my family history that these 3 are related, so I'm not going to click on each image today. However, if I didn't already know they were my ancestors, I could verify the family connection by viewing their death certificates, searching other types of databases for church records, census records, and obituaries, and then compare all the information from the various documents to make a reasonable assumption. Unfortunately, not every search goes as smoothly as the one for George. Here's an example of the first time I searched for my great-grandma, Gaetana Gennardi, a Sicilian immigrant. I typed in her last and first names, but when I clicked the orange search button, I got the note that no records were found in the database. So I searched again, but this time I changed her first name to just an initial and selected the Starts With option instead of the default of Contains. As you can see, I now get a hit on her name, although it was incorrectly indexed as Gastana Gennardi instead of Gaetana. Mistakes can happen during indexing. Sometimes the person transcribing the information misreads a letter or a name due to the handwriting, or they might accidentally transcribe the information incorrectly even though they read it just fine. If you don't find your ancestor in your first search, try again and experiment with different spellings or just using initials. Let's try one more type of search. Say you want to search for a person with a common name, such as John Williams. If you search just by his name or a variation of it, you'll get a lot of results, as many as 842. choose to use the date range and county options, we can decrease the number of results to just 5. In this example, I selected a death range of 1910 to 1920 and chose Greene County. It is much more manageable to browse through these 5 instances of persons named John Williams than go through 842 records. So if you know an approximate death date and/or county of death, you can use this information to narrow your search. So why is this database an important resource for genealogists? A death certificate is a vital record that every genealogist has on their wish list for each ancestor. These death certificates contain a wealth of information such as birth date, parents' names, spouse's name, and citizenship status. This is the death certificate for my Sicilian grandmother, Concetta Brancato. If you look at the highlighted portion, you can see that she was a citizen of Sicily at the time of her death. Keep in mind that death records, like census records, are only as accurate as the information that is reported. If I compare the citizenship information found here to census records I previously located, both record types indicate that my grandmother never naturalized. I also have in my possession her alien registration issued by the U.S. Department of Justice. All of these documents are in agreement that she was not a U.S. citizen when she died, even though she lived in Missouri for over 60 years. Death certificates can provide useful clues as to where to look next or what kinds of information we can verify through other record sources. I hope you have enjoyed this brief tutorial and learned a few useful strategies for searching the database of Missouri death certificates. Please contact the Missouri State Archives directly for more information. And to learn about death certificates in other states, please visit the Family Search Wiki page. Thank you for your time.